Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Carrie Berry's mom. You are the first on here. You beat us to it. It's good to see you
Oh,
tonight. Hope you're doing well.
I did forget something. Hang on. Wait. We're having trouble streaming to your destination. Did you end this? What happened? Do you see that? Clay?
Yeah.
Do you see that? Oh, Rumble is not doing it. That's what it is.
Huh. I corrected Rumble actually,
It just
but
popped up for me.
what are you doing?
I forgot my iPad. You know,
Little
it's
Miss
been a
Technology
week and a
Center.
half since I've done the normal stream, so it's like it's tough for me to figure all this out
Well,
again.
that's all right.
Be
Glad you could
professional.
join us. Welcome back, E-Train. As you notice, I am joined by the lovely and illustrious, famous, well-known,
Retarded.
genuine, the original, accept no imitation, E-Train. Hello,
Okay,
Melissa. Good to see you.
there we go.
Appreciate y'all joining us tonight.
Um,
Always good to get the family back together.
Clay, do I hit remove on this?
You'll notice who's the technology expert here. Hit remove on what?
The rumble notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just have to fix it a little later. And good evening, Catherine. Good to see you.
Ah,
Welcome. Ellen is
sorry.
struggling with the technology. I really need to hold a class for her someday.
First of
But
all, I want to say thank you to Catherine and Carrie Berry's mom. I don't know if y'all saw our Saturday night stream, but I was super busy after I got well working on trying to get the camera and everything working for Saturday nights. And I saw your messages. Thank you so much for being so kind and so sweet. I was a bit under the weather, but much better now. And I really appreciate all of your well wishes. That was very kind. Thank you.
yeah, I do as well. We have some really genuinely kind people uh,
Mhm.
watching the show, participating with us, and we are very grateful for that. It just makes the whole thing a lot more entertaining, a lot more fun, a lot more relaxed, and we're grateful for you. Hope everybody has had a good week. I know, um, there's still a few people out there struggling.
Hey, Carson.
Hello, Carson. Good to see you tonight, House.
And
Hope you're
and
doing
thank
well.
you, Gary Barry's mom. I appreciate that. I saw wait a minute. I saw that on somebody Michael is it Michael Knowles? Who I saw
I
that on
can't
Twitter
say
today.
I
And
can't say I think about the Roman Empire a whole lot, but I do think, on occasion of ways of defeating the Roman phalanx, which was quite the obstacle to overcome for many of the barbarians and Mediterranean Persians, etc., that the Romans fought. And I think I finally decided that the best way is mounted archery and a sweeping flank attack would probably be the best way to defeat it. You'll have infantry meet them head on to keep them occupied and keep them informed, but they have a relatively exposed flank, and the archers would not have to um, worry about penetrating it. Their arrows could easily wreak some damage. So I think that's the best way to disorganize and overcome it. So hope that helps, Catherine.
EDB may have said it, but I think she got it from Michael Knowles. I swear I did not watch any EDB today. And I don't know if it's something he responded to. Hey, go ahead. I'm looking. Sorry.
Sorry I didn't start
Continue on.
bidding the other stream. It's only because I'm broke AF. What bidding? What am I missing?
See the bidding.
And
I don't
Brentwood, good to
know.
see
And
you.
Brentwood, you've been
You
That
have
would
been MIA, but we'll forgive you. Helping a friend is that ranks up there with the best of excuses. Hope everything is all right with your friend, or everything is better. Things rarely resolve quickly, but hope everything is headed in the right direction. And Carson, not sure what bidding you're talking about. Can you give me a little bit more information?
Clay, I was never for sale. I promise you that. What?
Now I remember.
What?
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
What? I was kidding. What?
When I think that's what Carson was referring to when he was talking about I didn't start the bidding on the other stream.
Uh,
Apparently people were bidding for you on some stream.
were they?
I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay. Um, Dagnammit, I can't find it, but I saw that pop up on Twitter today. Had about the Roman Empire. How often do you think about the Roman Empire? But it wasn't
Yeah, there
EDB,
is
and
a meme going around, and
is there? Okay.
yeah, like Catherine said, there are memes, but apparently men think about Rome often, and women are surprised by this. You've seen that meme with the guy and the girl in bed. They have their backs to each other, and they're she's thinking the guy's wondering if she's too fat, and the guy is over there with the little caption wondering about Rome or whatever. So that kind of sums it up. Yeah, bidding on Ellen. It was a week and a half ago. I mentioned something about you were
bidding on me.
Yeah.
I must have walked out of the room.
No, you said something about you were single, or we weren't dating.
Oh, yeah. I am. Yeah, we're not.
And then I said, we'll open the bidding.
Oh, there you go.
So
Carson.
Yeah, not blaming you, Carson. That one actually falls on me. So.
Listen, it has been a long week and a half. I'm not going to lie to you. So I was not well for quite some time. What is I swear.
And actually, the worst question I get from my students is, could you repeat what you just said? Because a lot of times, honestly, I'm in a stream of consciousness kind of rambling diatribe, and I don't really track what I say. It just flows. It just comes out in a rhythm. And so if I have to stop and try to think, what I said 2 minutes ago, sometimes it doesn't work well. And yes, all fun and games as long as we're all laughing.
Of course. Of course. No, I just, like I said, it's but Chunk, get down.
We have had somebody be a little bit rude, so they are no longer allowed into play. But we do enjoy people with a modestly good sense of humor.
Yes, of course.
And you don't even have to be qualified to tell jokes like E-Train. She can't tell jokes. She's funny, but she can't tell jokes.
I'm unintentionally funny.
Yeah, but she is funny.
Plus. Yeah, like when I fall down the stairs or when I am just.
No, that's not funny unless you bounce a little bit on your butt.
No, you think it's funny until you realize that I've broken something, and then you're like, "Oh, it's not funny anymore." I'm like, "Really? Thanks."
Like, wish I had video though. This would be funny later.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Ellen is feeling much better. My life has improved greatly.
Thank you. Yes, it has. I told him, I said, I better get better because the house is just going to fall in on itself if I don't.
It's amazing how messy she can be. She and the dogs.
Moffat. Negative.
I'm a simple guy.
Yeah. You simply leave everything open and rarely put things back in the
do
fridge.
That near as much anymore. I am far better at closing the cabinets. This is a running debate between the two of us. And she knows.
I have no comment.
Well, trust me, it's true. I am far, far better at closing the cabinets now than I used to be. have improved greatly in that regard.
I don't want it that way. I want it the other way. Okay. Yeah, that's better. I don't like it when we switch places. It just gets me all, I don't know. My
Little
ADHD,
ADD lights up.
my ADHD just goes nuts.
And Catherine goes, and dinner is on time.
That's always a good, yes. When
Yes, I'm
well,
much better with the schedule and getting, the dinner prepared. Oh, just hope I cook something she likes.
okay. Clay's cooking consists of opening a can of soup and sticking a spoon in it.
And if I want to get fancy, I'll pour it in a bowl and heat it up.
Or maybe just pour it in a bowl, and then if you get super fancy. If there's more I think you and Clay have the exact same brains. I mean, it's like, well,
I mean, that's a
because
brilliant point. That's a good question. That's fair enough. Simplify. It's like toilet lids. Toilet lids belong up because it's a whole lot easier to put them down than it is to put them up. You got gravity on your side.
However, he gets mad at me for not putting him down because our cat loves to drink water out of the toilet.
Toilet lid, the lid, closing the lid, not the
seat.
donut.
You just said the toilet.
Well,
Close the toilet lid.
The donut.
Well,
but what's really important is putting on the toilet paper the right way, over the top.
Oh, since when do you put toilet paper on the toilet roll?
I sit it on the toilet roll.
Oh, does it have a direction in which way it goes when you just pop it on top?
Well, sometimes I'm a little occupied, deep in thought.
Right. Mm-hmm. That stream of consciousness thing you got going on.
Carson, sous vide, vacuum sealed.
What?
What? Sous vide?
A toy in the toilet. The lid stays down. TP does go over the top. But I've heard, actually, I think it was on here where that is the dirtiest way to do it. Somebody back me up.
What?
That putting toilet paper over the top was actually like the least sanitary way. Somebody? Anyone back me up here?
Well,
anyone?
If you look at the...
It was an earlier chat.
Actual patent for a toilet paper roll.
Let
me get this open. The patent shows it clearly going over the top.
It had to show one way or the other.
Huh?
It had to show one way or the other. One of you guys.
No, the author clearly, the owner of the patent, the designer, the inventor of the toilet roll hanger clearly shows it over the top. That's the way it was designed. It's designed to work. I rest my case.
Patent schmatten. I'm with you, Melissa, because I think I am wrong. I think it is least sanitary that way. But I swear somebody on the stream said so, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've never seen or heard that before.
I swear it was here. Bead is pronounced like bead. Okay,
bead.
Sous vide.
Sous vide.
I still don't know what it means.
It is cooking in a bag. You know, where food is sealed in a bag and then you drop in a bucket of water, hot water.
You mean like your MREs?
Like the MREs?
Mm-hmm. Yummy.
They're actually pretty good. You just never had the K rations. But yeah, so.
All right, we're done with toilet paper. Let's get to the real meat and potatoes of tonight, because I have the first question. Sorry, guys, but I kind of took this over.
So what's the question?
I sent you 2 different posts.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on. I got to show these 2 real quick. Okay, sous vide is a method of cooking. If you use it well, it can make life a lot easier. Okay. It is less sanitary over the top. I thought that's what I heard. Living with brothers, yet they spray everywhere. Okay. The chemical MRE heaters are the best with all that hydrogen. Yeah, I bet. Okay. Okay. No more derailing, Carson. All right. So I sent Clay 2 different posts. Guys, like I was a hairstylist. I am not a finance person. Why am I on top? I don't want to be on
Ellen,
top. Thank you. And y'all get your heads back where they're supposed to be. Okay, so 2 different ones. This one seemed, in my opinion, to be a very positive post about treasuries approaching 2% again, near the highest level since 2009. Yay. And then I sent him another one. Oops. A bank liquidity indicator sounds the alarm. Emergency loans from the Fed's BTFP facility rose to 108 billion this week, a new high as long-term government bond yields keep rising. That one sounded more negative to me. And I said, Clay, so what's the deal? As me, a layperson who, doesn't know all that much about finance, to be honest, except for when Clay comes home and tries to tell me what he did during the day, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
which never
No
happens
offense.
anymore.
Well, I stopped asking because that Instagram that you sent me, can you play that, or that was it Instagram or was it Twitter?
Which one?
The girl who was dating the guy.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? But anyway, I might be able to find it and send it to you real quick. So I was just like, what does all of this mean? And then we got into the teeter-totter discussion, which we often do. I've heard the teeter-totter thing 1,000 times. I still love it, but still.
All right. So is that the question?
Um,
Just say yes.
Sure.
She's getting a little distracted here. She tends to wander when she gets distracted, but that's okay. We still
To
love her.
me, what?
Yeah. Now, start off with the original picture. Real yields on 10-year treasuries approaching 2% again, near the highest level since 2009. First of all, real yield is just simply the yield of the 10-year treasury less CPI, the inflation rate. That net is called the real yield. It can be positive, sometimes it can be negative. And this post is a little weird to me because, like Ellen says, it's kind of she seems to be celebrating it like it's a good deal for investors. But I have a couple of, I guess I would say, reservations about that. First of all, the yield on the 10-year is the current yield. CPI is a historical number from the past month, and it really gives no indication or preview of future inflation rates. Past is not prologue. So when we talk about real GDP, real income, real yields, whatever, it is a little bit of a mythical construction. It's not really, comparing actual current inflation to the current yield, but it's kind of the best we can do. So everybody goes with it, but I'm always a little hesitant in that regard. Secondly, the time period she selected is pretty selective. See here, she's got the real yield higher than the prior 10 years, and that seems like it's kind of significant. But the significance kind of fades when you look at it since 1997. And you can see here that the real yield is actually just kind of mediocre, kind of approaching some average. Now, keep in mind here, after the subprime crisis, the Federal Reserve intentionally manipulated the rates to keep them low. It did this through several ways. We can talk about that later, but these low interest rates are fiction. Those are not market rates. Those are not real rates. That's an artificial rate forced by the Federal Reserve. So, kind of have a hard time putting any confidence or value in these as far as, interpreting their impact on reality. Flip side is they were very real. And a lot of people adjusted their return expectations, like mortgages. Mortgages were 2.5 or 3%. Now mortgages are 7%. People think that's insanely high. However, 6 or 7% is the average over the past, 50 years, 60 years. So it did change expectations, but it was artificial. It was manipulated. It wasn't true fair market rates, which is part of the reason we're in the situation and having the problems we are now in the economy and with banks, etc. Now, if you look at it longer term, since the 1980s, here, well, I can't highlight it, but from this gray area on across is what she was showing. And as you can tell, the current real rate for the 10-year is way low compared to the average since the 1980s. So what's the significance of that? Is that really a great opportunity, or is it just kind of a foothold in the return to reality? I wouldn't say it's necessarily a great opportunity. And I don't think we're done with hiking rates. And I certainly don't think rates are going to come down anytime soon. Y'all may not have had a chance to see it, but the other night, I posted a video on U.S. debt. And we actually, we got, let me see if I can dig it up here. We got a few comments from it. And some of those comments were, for example, it has already exceeded that situation. And the situation is, how do you know when you borrow like a third world nation? Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the video, but I basically talk about we, for the first time in history, broke 33 trillion in debt. And talked about the rate we're increasing and the huge increase in interest payments we're seeing, those kind of things. So that's the situation. We're starting to borrow like a third world nation. Who owns that debt? Also talked about how China, Japan, and Saudi Arabia, who are some of the biggest foreign purchasers of treasury debt, are now selling their holdings. So they're definitely not buying. So if the U.S. is in this mode of buying huge amounts of debt, of borrowing huge amounts of debt, and three of the biggest customers are out of the market, who's going to buy it? Well, it's going to depend more and more on the U.S. retail and institutional market, which
they're not going to do it.
Do what?
I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, just like we were talking, what's the guy's name I was talking about today?
Grantham.
He was saying, if you're going to invest outside of the U.S. and about the PE ratios, and that we have the highest, and those countries that you just listed that were buying our debt, or they were loaning us money, they have lower PE ratios.
Yeah, and the PE ratio is a stock index measure of richness or cheapness in the market. Our PE is about 22 right now, and other countries are 18, 16, 13. But
7,
let me
8.
ask you, would you rather invest money in the US or in India or Malaysia?
India is the only one higher than us. I'd rather invest
Where else in the world would you want to invest your money? Do you think
in
Europe's
my
safer?
mattress.
Huh?
In my mattress.
Yeah. That may not be a bad choice.
Because the
But
bubble's going to burst.
yeah, Germany has a lower PE than we do, but their manufacturing is shutting down, productivity is dropping, their energy costs are soaring. How
G
does that
Clay.
look for the future of their stock market? They have a lower
G,
PE for a reason.
G Clay, I wonder why
So I
their
don't really agree
production
with
is slowing
Grantham.
down.
I don't really agree with Grantham on his invest overseas per se. Most of the semi-attractive overseas markets have huge risk as well. Um, so there's, PE is not the end all that he was painting it as. You have
Right.
to look at each country individually.
I'm going to sacrifice my little dolphin because Chunk will not be quiet. Here.
We had a few other comments. Crucify me if I'm wrong. What's going on in the world today is very suspect. I can't argue the very suspect. There's just, if I look at the world as a whole, things are getting more chaotic, less civil, less organized. Um, Poverty is increasing, food supply is decreasing, energy costs are increasing. So, what this kind of points to is that the poor, the middle class are going to get screwed, are going to get pinched harder and harder and harder. I just don't see good trends right now going on in the US or the world as whole. It makes me very cautious. It's almost
Can I
like it
ask?
was organized.
Well, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. But if you think about commercial properties, right?
Is,
Okay.
is there a question here?
If you say chop chop, I'm going to slap you. Commercial properties.
Yippee-ki-yay.
May I speak? The fact that they are we talked about this a lot earlier today, but the fact that sorry, I gotta rearrange myself here so I'm more comfortable. And the loans on those properties are different than like a mortgage. We spoke about that today earlier too. And if you want to explain that, or if y'all want to know the difference, Chunk, you got to get down, buddy. No. Quit distracting. Stop it. Oh, okay.
Can I get a countdown clock for E-Train?
The commercial properties. I'm sorry. I'm really trying here. I have too much going on around me. Commercial properties are now being kind of left like I know Chunk. He loves his attention. A lot of them left vacant, right? I mean, the ESG properties that are more the better buildings, the A class buildings as opposed to B and C. The B and C's are kind of getting the keys handed in, the bankrupt because of the interest rate issue going up and the fact that they can't make their payments. And then there are homeowners who are sort of what they call, or what I heard today, you can correct me, the golden handcuffs, where you bought a house and your rate was so low that now you can't sell it because the rates are too high and the prices are high, overinflated. So nobody's going to buy it. I forgot what the original question was, but that had something to do with all that. I'm the worst. I know. He's crying. He's up. He thinks there's something up there. There's not. She's running around my feet. I,
All right.
yeah.
Let's get back to the topic here.
But you know what I mean? That there something is going to happen. Like this can't keep up.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on in the world. I've never seen an era where there is so much chaos, not only in our society. I mean, you've got mobs going in and purging all, retail stores in all the major cities. Education in all the major cities, all of them sucks. Absolutely horrendously sucks. It's like intentionally trying to keep inner city people from ever having hope of obtaining a better life.
So Melissa, you better homeschool your pugs.
Violence, seems to be increasing. Food supplies, there's almost a war on agriculture and farmers. See where.
Do you think that's planned? I mean, do you think not the farmers themselves, but you think that is something that's because of the whole WEF, the reset, everything? Do you think that is something that is in play in order to kind of keep the food
Well, you
supply
remember
down
that
and the
video, 8
prices up?
predictions for 2030 that I showed a couple of times on the Great Reset?
Yes. Uh-huh. But I'm saying, do you
One
think
of
that
the
this is a part of
one of
that?
the main items in that was you will eat
Food.
less meat.
I am not going to eat a bug. No.
And, that was an extension of their eat less meat and they're also, we're talking about, how did they phrase it? I forget the exact phrase. The poor, I have to go back and look or dig up the video. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were talking about people will have to get used to living with less. You will own nothing and love it. You will own nothing and be happy. You won't own your house. You won't own a car. You won't need to leave your house because food will be delivered to you. So you can only
And
eat
everything else you need.
You can only eat what they deliver. They will choose. They don't say this, but they're basically aiming toward choosing your diet and providing you with the food that they allot.
Now, I don't know if you've heard this, Clay. I've heard more recently that whatever money that you make, there will be a time limit on when you can spend it.
Well, that's a whole different issue. That's just a different issue right now.
Okay, sorry.
That's with the central bank digital currency. And we've talked about that a little bit previously as well. But the deal with the Ellen chart was that there was excitement over this 10-year real rate. Now rates are going up. So that helps people with new money who are buying higher rates. Older bonds. Remember the teeter-totter. And I'll go ahead and before we go any further, got to make sure everybody understands the teeter-totter. And I put this together the other day, and I hope it helps explain what I mean when I keep saying the teeter-totter.
Are you going to show it?
Yeah. How's that?
Nice.
Took me a minute to get it on StreamYard here.
I appreciate that. You know what? I like that first page there.
Teeter-totter. You actually learn finance in kindergarten. Now, everybody knows what a teeter-totter. Well, why did that not change?
What?
Okay.
There you
go. Everybody knows what a teeter-totter is. Well, the teeter-totter is actually a physical representation of a bond or debt or mortgage. Anything with a fixed interest rate reacts similarly to a teeter-totter.
Similarly.
Bonds and teeter-totters, and I'm going to use bonds generically for all debt, mortgages, whatever. Bonds and teeter-totters have two things that move and one that is fixed. For a bond, the thing that moves is the price and the market interest rate. The one thing that never changes during the life of the bond is the coupon,
What's the
the
coupon?
amount of interest. So, for example,
Wait. Back that up. Back up, please.
trying.
The previous slide. Okay. You're saying the market interest rate moves,
Yes.
but the interest rate
rates
is
change.
fixed. But it's fixed.
Yes. If I buy a mortgage at 2.5% for 30 years
Mm-hmm.
for $1 million,
Mhm.
a bond or a mortgage,
Mhm.
I receive 2.5% interest on my $1 million for 30 years.
You're talking
That
about you
doesn't
being the
change.
bank.
Huh?
You're talking about you being the bank.
Any buyer, whoever buys that bond, institution, individual, whatever.
Okay, because okay. So you're not talking about mortgages. Mortgages, you're talking about mortgage securities.
Same thing. It's a mortgage. It's just
No,
sold like a stock or a bond.
okay, because you said mortgage. I'm trying to clarify for the whole world
Fine.
here. When you
Mortgages
said
trade just
you,
like securities.
may I finish my question?
Well, go
You
ahead.
said
Ask me.
mortgage, any debt is the same thing, but you're not talking about an actual mortgage. You're talking
Yes,
about
I
the
am.
securities that are mortgage backed.
Same thing. The mortgage-backed securities are made out of mortgages. It's the same thing.
But it's not an actual mortgage.
Yes, it is an actual mortgage.
Is anybody else confused by this or is it just me?
When you take a mortgage out through a bank,
I don't receive any interest on that.
Ellen,
Mm-hmm.
when you take a mortgage out through a bank,
Mhm.
the bank sells that mortgage to a trust.
I'm aware.
That trust will buy your mortgage and 1,000 other mortgages.
I get that.
Then it will issue receipts on a
Clay, I
pro
know.
rata
That's not what
basis
I'm asking.
for investors.
That's not my question.
So it's the same thing. Mortgages, mortgage-backed securities, they're mortgages.
Clay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Do you receive any interest back from your mortgage?
My mortgage, I pay interest.
That's the difference I'm talking about.
No. My mortgage that the bank has, they take it and sell it. Or I can
I
go
said,
out
are we
and
talking
buy.
about banks? And you said no.
I can go out and buy mortgages. Some lenders are individuals.
I was trying to get you to clarify that it was a
Ellen,
mortgage-backed security or if it was just a plain mortgage because I've never seen anyone get interest back on a mortgage ever.
okay. It's a mortgage. Let's just go with that. So you've got a mortgage or a bond or debt. They're all the same. Two things will move: the interest rate or the price. The interest paid on that mortgage, the interest received on that mortgage remains fixed. That's the coupon. So if I buy $1,000 bond or mortgage or debt or loan, whatever, and I lend my $1,000, I'll receive 10% interest or $100 per year.
Hmm.
That $100 per year never changes. Now, the interest rate in the market can change. So let's say interest rates go up to 15%. Well, my coupon doesn't change. I'm still receiving $100 a year. But if I want to sell that mortgage, I can only sell it for $672 now because I have to sell it at a price that makes that $100 look like a 15% bond. Okay. That's the market rate has changed. the coupon has not changed. So the price of the bond has to drop to make the coupon look like a 15% yield. Similarly, if interest rates fall, go from 10% to 5%, the price of the bond rises. So it's the teeter-totter. They're inverse. As interest rates rise, prices fall. As interest rates fall, prices rise, just like a teeter-totter. You were studying it in kindergarten. The one thing that doesn't change through the life of the bond or the mortgage or the loan is the coupon rate, the amount of interest that loan pays. Now, the teeter-totter also is a shape that's representative of maturity. You've got short teeter-totters, you've got very long teeter-totters. So you have short bonds in maturity, you have long bonds in maturity. The volatility on the short is very little because it just doesn't get much movement, whereas a longer bond moves a whole lot more. So the volatility, the risk on the longer maturities is greater than the shorter maturities. Does that make sense to everybody? As interest rate change, the shorter maturity moves less, much less than a longer maturity. So there is less price change, less risk in shorter maturities as interest rates shift. Does that make sense to everybody? That's the teeter-totter. And at any time you talk about debt, bonds, mortgages, loans, teeter-totter always applies. Shifts in interest rate cause shifts in the price of the bonds. They move inversely because the coupon, the interest payment, never changes. The market generally determines price and yield unless the Fed is manipulating rates. So that's what we've seen over the past 10 years. And that's what the tweeter that Ellen referred to was referencing, was that interest rates are up. But what she left out is when interest rates are up, the value of the bonds has fallen. So
the same principle as when interest rates go up, the value of your assets go down.
Not always. Depends on the asset. There are some assets that increase when interest rates go up.
Name one.
Inverse floaters. McDonald's stock. Walmart stock.
Okay. Or if you go against, or if you short the stock.
Or if you have a short position in a major index or companies that are negatively affected by higher interest payments.
Y'all, I never have a correct thought. There's always a caveat.
Never say never. She does. She is smart, but she's ornery. Catherine, I get it.
That was me. That was me, Catherine. Sorry.
That's all right.
I forget when I'm on my computer that it comes out as you.
So this actually may be good news for people who are now buying bonds, treasuries at the higher rates. However, for people who own the older bonds, including banks, it's a big problem. It's a big problem on two fronts because banks can't raise their interest rates that they pay on their deposits because their assets are long-term mortgages generally, and the rates on those are not increasing. Like I refinanced my house 2 years ago. So I have a 2.5% mortgage. Well, whoever owns that security is still receiving the same amount of interest, but the value of that has dropped. So the banks aren't getting any more interest income. So they're still paying 0.5% or 1% on a lot of their deposits. Well, people are seeing 5% in 30, 60, 90-day, 1-year treasuries. And so they're taking money out of the banks and investing it in treasuries. So you're seeing deposits leave the banks, which is a big problem for the banks because they have to sell assets to raise cash to give people their money. I hope that makes sense. We've talked about this a few times. If it doesn't, please ask questions. Let me know. So if a bank wants to sell assets, it's got assets that have suffered great losses because interest rates have risen. So the value of those assets, interest-bearing assets, has fallen. And that was the second picture that Ellen had a question about. Banks are losing deposits. We've talked about run-on banks before. That's what caused SVB and First Republic to collapse, was their deposits just started going out the door. So the Federal Reserve started this BTFP facility. It's a program whereby the Fed will make a 1-year loan to a bank and charge them 6%, no questions asked. And it's a substitute for the banks. Instead of selling assets where they take a loss and have to take a hit to capital, they can borrow the money from the Fed and use it to pay depositors who want their money. So that's the second chart. You see, it starts in March. And that's when SVB and First Republic went bankrupt. So this is the beginning of the facility. And you can see a sharp increase. Well, over the next 3 or 4 or 5 months, it's still increasing. Banks are still borrowing from this facility. Only problem is that money's not cheap. They're paying 6%, and they've still only got 3% interest income. So they're taking a hit on this, which also it's going to be due in a year. So this next March, this next April, a lot of banks are going to be screwed and not have the money to repay the Fed. So what does the Fed do then? Does it lend them more money? Does it extend the facility? Or does it force the bank into receivership? I don't know. That's a big question. But you can look at this, and if you understand the basic nature of banking, you can tell there's a problem, serious problem on the horizon.
Now, is this the small banks or the bigger banks?
Generally, the smaller and regional banks.
Because the bigger ones are invested in more secured companies like Fortune 500.
They have
they don't have the risk.
They have a more diverse portfolio. They have different divisions that also earn income. They have investment banking divisions that have been making good money. So they have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more power, a little bit more diversified portfolio.
And by the way, I was not laughing at you. Chunk is sitting here whining. I tried to get the microphone next to him. I don't know if you heard him.
We can hear him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going on one of his little rants. No, but so smaller banks, from what I saw today, which you may debunk on Saturday, but most of the commercial real estate loans are from small banks.
Yes, small banks have probably about 80% of commercial real estate loans, which commercial real estate is taking it on the chin, because a lot of people are, if it's not the high Class A space that Ellen was talking about earlier, a lot of people aren't going back to work. They're working from home. And a lot of companies are finding out they don't need all the space that they had before. So, even the buildings that have some utilization, the utilization is lower.
Yes.
And many buildings are still empty.
Yeah. And they're having to eat all that debt. And Chunk is worried about his retirement income. I think he is. He's worried about Clay's and mine because he's like, how am I going to eat? Who's going to feed me? What's going on?
Yeah, he needs his treats.
He
Treats
does.
are
And Melissa,
very important.
yes. And Melissa says, I don't know enough to ask questions. If there's anything you don't understand, listen, I go after Clay on this. Like, I will ask questions until he is like, Chunk understands it by now. Do you not? I'm like, no, but there's this, and what about this? And how does that, like, we were arguing about the mortgages earlier. I was like, a mortgage is not a mortgage-backed security. Like, if you own a personal mortgage, that's not the same thing as a security. He will disagree with me all day long. Fine. But he won't treat you that way. He's just used to me being annoying. If there's anything that you don't know, or that's the whole thing, is like, if you don't know, what can we clarify? That's like, I mean, I make Clay draw stuff out. I make him like, I'm like, dude, you're just going to have to make this make sense.
Yeah,
to me.
the cool thing is I'll explain something and she won't buy it, and then she'll hear somebody else explain it and she buys it.
Well, that's kind of like our neighbor who came to me for advice the other day. She's like, that's what my husband said. And I said, well, he's right. She's like, dag nabbit. I was like, hey.
Just like LawTube, eventually I'll be able to speak MoneyTube.
Well, listen, anything like Clay will not, embarrass you like he, does me, and he will not belittle you like he does me online. He's just used to me. We do this to each other. It's a thing.
Yeah, we've been doing this for years. So
yes.
our approach to each other is probably a little more direct than it is to most other people.
It is. So do not be embarrassed or shy to ask a question. Clay is very, very, very sweet and very, very good at explaining things. If you ask him what you don't like, I don't understand this part. What does this mean?
Part of our difficulty is Ellen is highly intelligent. As I'm explaining something else will pop in her head or a different direction. And she wants that answered before I can answer the other. And for me, that's difficult. That's sometimes a little frustrating.
Because my mom went 3 steps ahead, and I was like, okay, but.
Yeah, and so
because I worked out his issue, worked out what he was about to say. And I'm like, okay, but what about this? And he's like, I haven't even gotten there yet. Would you calm down?
Yeah, so she kind of ignores what I say, and her mind is off on something else. And so sometimes I'm like, Ellen, just no. But that's us. And she does the same to me, because she'll be explaining something to me and I'm like, no, wait, we were talking about this. Stay on this point.
And or he'll randomly say some sentence that I have no idea what it means. And I'm like, apparently I missed the first part of that conversation because you were having it in your own head. So if you don't mind sharing with me the previous bit, that would be great. And
so she just thinks in a way that's a little bit different than the way I think. And, we each understand and respect each other.
We give each other shit all the time.
Yeah. We have a lively discussion, but we end up understanding.
Good, Melissa.
This is a safe space.
Yes. Like we will treat each other brutally, seriously, like brutal, but it's just Chunk. It's enough, buddy. I don't have whatever it is you think I have. I don't have it. You got water.
So to me, if I look at these two pictures, I see them kind of together, because the first one showed rates rising. Well, rates rising leads to people taking their deposits out of banks. It leads to banks having problems because they can't sell assets because they've in such a loss position. And so they have to take advantage of this Fed's emergency facility for banks to borrow money against. So I see them kind of fitting and going together hand in glove. The big key is that rates are still rising and banks are still borrowing more and more money. And this is not cheap money for banks. This is not cheap money. That's going to be a big issue. This is relatively expensive money. It'll have to be repaid in a year unless the Fed comes up with another facility or forgives the loans or forces the bank into foreclosure so a bigger bank can buy them. And there is a move toward bigger banks. We've seen that for the last several years. This administration favors bigger banks. So, there's a lot of predictions out there that the small community banks have a very limited lifetime ahead.
There's nothing up there.
But that was Ellen's question, those two issues.
I don't know what it is that he wants, but Chuck,
the round spherical object.
It's not here. He thinks it's here and it's not. And I don't know how to make it better for him.
Yeah, Chunk is just a little miniature Ellen. Canadian banks are very large.
I don't whine nearly that much.
We have some very large banks, but we've got about 3,800 banks. So we've got a fair number of small regional mid-sized banks. But that number has decreased from, what was it, 7,000 or 8,000 20 years ago?
Yeah, now it's like 3,000.
Yeah, so that number is continuing to decline.
I mean, after 2008, that like killed a bunch of them. And that's what's going to happen again. With all these commercial loans that most of small banks are benefiting from, it's not just that either. It's like also the small banks are the ones that give loans to small businesses. And if they don't have the cash or the money to do it, small businesses cannot grow. Some of them might not even be able to continue to thrive or exist. I mean, it's not just, commercial buildings. It's not just whatever. It's just this effect that just keeps going out and out and out and affects more and more people. And it's not just limited to one sector or one group of people or whatever.
And I know I talk about interest rates a lot. My background is in fixed income, in derivatives, fixed income derivatives. And so fixed income.
One more time, Clay. What is a derivative?
A derivative is a contingent claim to a future cash flow.
That makes no sense.
Contingent claim. Something has to happen. It either has to be a move in price, interest rate, or some event. For example, I could structure a derivative using Bayesian probabilities on the chances of a Cat 5 hurricane hitting between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. And then I can sell that.
So what you're talking about is primary, secondary, tertiary events resulting from some other event.
I could structure a derivative on most any of those type events, whether it's primary, secondary, or tertiary, based on probabilities. And then I could sell it. It's kind of like insurance. If y'all watch The Big Short, and I hope most of you have, if you haven't, go watch it. It's not literally true. Obviously, a lot of the dialogue is made up. Hollywood takes a few liberties here and there, but it's an interesting movie. But before the subprime crisis really hit, there were a couple of people, Michael Burry and what was the other guy's name? Played by Steve Carell. I can't think of. He was a portfolio manager, but those two guys saw the subprime crisis forming, and they bought an insurance policy on bonds defaulting. They were called CDS.
Well, they shorted them, didn't they?
Credit default swaps. And the credit default swaps were a technical short.
Okay.
and they paid a premium for that. But the credit default swap, the CDS, was a derivative. It derived its value based off of the credit rating of the bonds. Now,
Okay.
bonds issued by like AIG were initially investment grade, AAA rated, or AA rated, maybe. Anyway, highly rated. Well, AIG ran into huge cash flow problems and
Okay.
defaulted on its bonds. $20 billion worth of bonds became worthless. Well, the credit default swaps then owed the buyers of the credit default swaps that money. It's like an insurance policy on a bond or a mortgage back. So if you have a mortgage back pool worth $100 million,
So if you have
you
a
can buy,
mortgage,
huh?
so if you have a mortgage,
It's thousands of mortgages pooled together. It is
oh,
a mortgage. It is a
okay,
mortgage.
uh-huh.
So if you have thousands of mortgages and they start defaulting,
Mm-hmm.
then that credit default swap owes you $100 million. It's like an insurance policy, like on a home, except it's on the credit rating determined by the credit rating on a bond. If the credit rating of that bond starts dropping, then it pays off.
Okay, so if you have a mortgage and you can't pay it, they don't give you money.
If you buy the credit default swap, they pay you off.
I am just trying to make a joke. I'm not funny. I know.
You got no jokes.
Um, so I've forgotten the name already.
Starwood
Starwood has
Real Estate
defaulted
Development.
on it. It is one of the biggest commercial real estate companies in the United States, or actually the world, because they own Germany and lots of places. They have defaulted on their very first building in Atlanta.
Yep. Huge real
And
estate company. And the problem is vacancies. People aren't going back to work in an office. They're working from home. Or companies
it's an
bankrupt.
apartment building, and it's worth 60% of what it was worth when they purchased it.
I was thinking it was commercial.
No,
but
it's
residential.
an apartment building. Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. That's interesting. Do you know where it was located in Atlanta by any chance? Did he mention where it was located? Or was it
No,
in
it was
Atlanta?
I just know it was in Atlanta.
Okay. Huh.
Because
that's
I
interesting.
mean, yeah. So that is a huge indicator that things are going to go a little bit sideways.
Yeah, residential real estate hasn't been necessarily a national problem, but as more people get laid off, as inflation, personal debt passed $500 billion, was it? An all-time high.
Yeah.
And so people have already borrowed out the wazoo to maintain their consumption, whether it's for food, rent, groceries, clothes, whatever they're spending it on. But the borrowing power left is greatly diminished.
I'm wrong, Clay. It is Starwood Capital Group is in default on a $212.5 million mortgage backed by an Atlanta office tower. You're right.
Okay. Well, that makes a little better sense then. But
yeah.
Yeah, vacancies. So companies aren't renewing their lease when it comes due. Nobody wants downtown office space. It's expensive. It's hard to get to. Parking's expensive. The employees don't want to come back to work downtown. It's, violence is increasing. Theft, in major cities like San Francisco, homeless people or immigrants or criminals will just break into your car right in front of the police, and they won't even do anything. They won't try to arrest them. So nobody wants to go to work in this kind of environment.
You have to excuse me for a moment. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Chunk will not stop. I've got to go find a spherical object somewhere. Excuse
I
me.
know the feeling.
God, Chunk, you got to stop. Like,
All right. Sorry for my big mug being thrown up, but hopefully Ellen will return soon. But commercial real estate is taking it on the chin, and it's only getting worse. You know, some companies are trying to get their employees back to work, but a lot of the employees are resisting, saying don't want to do it. Now, as if we hit the point where there really is a full-blown recession, and I think we're getting closer, you'll probably see employees a lot more willing to do what their employer wants. But a lot of people have just gotten used and adapted to working at home, don't want to go back into the office. And even employers are moving out of the cities into areas. California, New York, Michigan have all seen significant exodus from the states, both in individuals moving out as well as businesses moving out. A lot of businesses have left California for Utah or Texas, Florida, Tennessee. Apple is building, projects outside of California. Got a big one going on here in North Carolina. So you see companies, gravitating away from the inner city. You're going to see a lot of these big office buildings just either go to waste, or they'll be converted to some other purpose, or they'll just be leveled. Laura, I'm guilty of working from home all the time, which is why I'm lurking here at 1 a.m. Yay for homework.
I mean, it's not. I think a company is smart to say, hey, if I get the same productivity, excuse me.
Yep.
From someone when they're at home as I do in the office, well, that's less overhead.
Yeah, and a lot of a lot of companies aren't seeing the same productivity, and they're not able to oversee their employees' work, which is a little bit concerning. They can't contact their employees, by dropping in the cubicle. And I tell my kids, if they're looking at getting a job, they do not want a work from home job, because so much of your career and future is based off of a personal relationship. Who do you know? How well do you know them? It's based off having a mentor that will guide you and encourage you and give you instruction and insights, and who will recommend you to other people, who will open doors for you. So if college graduates are starting off working at home, I think there's a very good chance they're screwing up their career. Catherine, a lot of businesses are moving into more industrial areas. Maybe they're trying to get closer to suppliers or shipping. I'm not sure. Honestly, I haven't seen that, so I'm not familiar with that. I'll take a look at that. Melissa, Green Bean says, hi, Chunk.
Hey, Chuck, Green Bean says, hey, you got your green ball.
Chuck saying, Green Beans, you need to come play ball.
Green ball.
His version of green. Brentwood, it's good to be seen by your bosses too. It is.
Yeah, and people, at least a lot of the up and coming generation have a hard time getting started and have a hard time, managing their own schedule. My daughter, homeschooled herself and, was able to keep track of her studies and what she had to do and manage her schedule and all those things. But a lot of kids don't have that. I mean, if you say work from home, they're like, okay, I'll get up at 10, start at noon. Maybe that doesn't make a difference. I don't know. But it seems like, the work ethic, if you go in and you show up and you make yourself known to the people above you, that is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and it really depends on the career and what you want out of a career. Like, I'm at the age and stage where I enjoy my free time. I'm not worried about acquiring more titles or promotions. I'm in academia. I don't want to be an administrative. I hate all the politics and endless meetings. I mean, nobody can do meetings like academia, and nobody
Oh
can
God.
accomplish less in a meeting than academia. So it's just highly irritating to me oftentimes.
Yeah, I
But
remember listening to, especially during COVID, Clay would say, I got a meeting, and he, would shut his office door where he is right now. And like 3 hours later, I'm like, are you still meeting? He's like, they just won't stop talking. I'm like, okay.
yeah, academics are not lawyers. We don't
Mm-mm.
get paid by the word, but we
Nor the
love to hear
hour.
the sound of our own voices. And we've completed the God 101 class. So we think everybody needs to hear and believe our opinion, and we'll talk until
Oh,
everybody accepts our opinion.
that way. Yes.
Yeah, get that right.
I think I told y'all before I took, him to Christmas with my family one year. And my uncle was like, next time anybody, wants to disagree with me about something, I want Clay there to back me up. He's like, he can defend anything.
We all have our gifts.
It's true.
But particularly for, somebody in finance. Finance is a field where you do business with somebody you trust. You're not going to do business with somebody you don't trust or don't really know. You don't give your money to just a complete stranger usually.
Mm-mm.
So personal contacts, knowledge is critically important to furthering your career and getting new job opportunities, because people hire people they know. If you're going to be working close to somebody for 60, 70 hours a week, you want somebody who's got a temperament, a personality, and a work ethic that you know. And you can't always pick up on that or know that from a couple of interviews. So people will tend to try to hire or bring in people they already know. So if you start out your career and you're not out making those kind of contacts, you're not developing those kind of relationships, you're not getting mentored, I think ultimately it's going to hurt your career. Now, Melissa, working from home is the best. For a lot of people, that flexibility, they care about their free time. They don't like being micromanaged. Sometimes you have a boss that's just always on your ass or always looking over your shoulder or trying to tell you how to do every little thing. Working from home solves those problems. And it can, I've got a friend who works for home for one of the major pharmaceutical research companies. And she just travels all over, takes her computer with her, and, hooks up a headset while she's, doing whatever around the house. She can punch in if she needs to. Loves it. But that would be exception to the rule. She's not necessarily concerned about moving on up. There'll be some attrition sooner or later. Her boss will, retire and move up, so she'll get a chance. But she doesn't really need personal relationships to prosper. It's more like a function of time. And so for, a lot of people, there are just so many advantages to working from home that they love it and they don't want to give it up. And that's part of the problem with a lot of companies trying to get their employees back in. The benefit to the employees is minimal. And there's probably more negatives to going into an office, both with expense and time and irritation, than there is upside. Catherine, if you're reliable and experienced, it is often easier for both. If you are younger and you are trying to build a career, it's really necessary to learn and network. That's it in a nutshell. Isn't academia print or perish? Yes, it is.
And Clay has been trying to print recently.
Yeah, I actually took an administrative position. I was director of graduate programs of a graduate program for 3 or 4 years, and I got a little bit behind on my research. So this past year or two, I've really had to work to try to catch up. Publishing is critical. Now, I also love the teaching. I remember once when I was in the PhD program, I had one of my professors take a textbook and just throw it down on the desk and said, anybody can teach. And I really struggled not to look at him like he was insane. It was like, did you never have teachers? I've had, I don't know how many teachers in my life, and there's just a handful, just a couple that really were able to teach me, that I really learned from and greatly appreciated. There's a
Is that,
bunch that I didn't.
do you think that is, I'm gonna list some factors out here. Okay. One is personality. Two is personal ability, like personal, being personable. Three is caring about what they're doing, caring about the students themselves, and then being in love with what they're teaching.
You know, for me, I when I started teaching, I started thinking about the professors that really I respected and admired, learned from the most. And they all had different styles, different personalities, different approaches, but figured out the one thing that they had in common was they gave a damn. They
About,
loved what they did.
okay,
And they cared about the students learning.
and not just the topic, or
Not the specific topic.
and not whether they're personable, not.
Some of them, I had this one physics professor, Dr. Simon. He
That was the silliest laugh I think I've ever heard you laugh.
Was in a class of 150, and you know, I was kind of a decent student. Anyway, midterm came, and one of the questions had, you know, certain forces and weights and whatever. I don't remember the exact question, but the last question he asked is, tell me what to do.
About?
To solve the problem.
Okay.
And I had no idea how to solve the problem. And I was mad as hell with the exam because I thought I was blowing it anyway. So I told him what to do with the test.
Shove it up his ass?
Yes.
Yes.
And
sounds like you.
I was just, you know, class was 150 people. And when I got the test back, he gave me half credit for that problem. He said, that is what I asked. And I can't explain to you how my respect just blew up for the guy at that time. 20 years later, oh, by the way, I
What is that laugh?
I made a B in his course.
No way.
My only consolation was that my average was the second highest average in the class of 150. There were no A's. He was straight on the grading. But 20, 30 years later, I asked him for a recommendation into PhD school because I had to have somebody from my undergraduate. I called him up and, you know, gave him my name, and he said, I remember you. You're the guy that was giving me instructions on the test.
That's awesome.
And we laughed and kidded about that for a bit, but you know, I told him why I was calling if he would give me a recommendation. He said he'd be glad to. And he recommended me for the PhD program. I got in the PhD program, so I assumed the recommendation was okay.
I'd hope so.
But yeah, this guy was very uncompromising. He wasn't dynamic. He wasn't personal. But he had such a commanding aura. He demanded literally your best. We thought we were excited because on his final, he said, okay, I'll give you a multiple choice final. And we thought, finally, we've got a chance to pass the thing. So he passed out the problem, the final exam. There were only 5 problems, 5 questions.
Mhm.
And then the grad students came in with the answer sheets. There were 8 legal pages, front and back, and started looking at them and looking at the problems. Every problem was in Greek symbols. And so the answer sheet was every possible combination of Greek symbols you could think of. So no matter how you solved the problem, there was a answer somewhere on these 8 pages. And so you spend all your time not trying to solve the problem, but find the damn answer. And you could just see the guy the whole time up there smirking.
I bet he was just having the
You got what you asked
kind
for.
of like you,
wanted-
the best time of your life during
Yeah.
some of your tests. I mean, he'll send me texts when he's in a test, an exam, whatever, and he'll be like, "They're squirming. They don't know what to do." And then he's also Chunk. Sorry, he's also sent me. I'm sorry. Chunk just got me derailed right there. Go ahead.
Anyway, this guy I loved, but there was nothing in his personality that made him a great teacher. It was his uncompromising demand for excellence. And he loved what he did. He gave a damn. Now you go in his office, he'll talk to you, he'll help you, do whatever, answer your questions. But yeah, I respected the hell out of him. So it's not, to me, all about personality. Having a professor that's fun and interesting and personable can help, particularly in this day and age, because students are so accustomed to being entertained, have very short attention spans. They're used to bright, flashy things. The ideal professor would be a physical manifestation of a fidget spinner with
True.
knowledge. But so the students today are a little bit less focused, less able to concentrate, and that's a problem. You have to change your communication style, your teaching style.
Not in your class, because you'll throw something at them if they dare to drift off.
Yeah, I usually carry like a marker with me, and then somebody starts nodding off, I'll beat them with it. I'll throw it across the room. I got
Or
markers.
he'll take his
flying all over the
flip-flop
class.
off and throw it at him.
Melissa, I've worked from Universal Studios many times. Sounds like a good time.
Sounds like work from home, right?
Sounds like work from home.
Mhm.
Brentwood, we have the option each day, but going into the office often has helped me build better relationships with my bosses who are always there. It has paid off in multiple ways in my work life. And a lot of careers, really, the relationships you build in person are vital. It can be very important. But, like me, I don't care about future promotions. I'm doing what I love. I'm kind of in a groove. I don't like online learning because I think the kids end up being screwed. I don't think the education is good from the kids' perspective. And I teach an online class during the summer. But I will say, I could teach it from Italy or Croatia or, Scotland, anywhere in the world.
Because you hit a button.
Yeah. Well, we won't go
Class
into
is in
that, but-
session. You were trying to make it sound better, I know.
Yeah. But really,
But-
I have to pay attention to emails. I've taped all the lectures. I've got quizzes set up. They have to pass the quiz in order to go to the next section. And it runs modestly independently.
And
But
speaking of,
home.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, but I get to work from home, and that offers me great advantages sometimes.
Speaking of building relationships, I'm sorry. I guess you were giving me a moment to do my
Trying to-
thing. I mean, through being a hairstylist, through doing lots of things, I met a ton of people, and Clay wants to have a new hobby, and he was just like, I wonder if I could do this. I said, I know a guy who does this professionally. He's very good at it. And so I was like, I'll send him a text. And this guy was like, sure. After Labor Day, give me a call. We'll do it. No doubt. And so that, it helps to know people. It helps to just build networks for things that you might not even think you'll ever need. I mean, I never thought I would need, this guy's services. I mean, he and that sounds like so icky, doesn't it? That's not what I mean. I never thought I'd have to call on him for his occupation. Let's put it that way. That even sounds weird. Anyway, go ahead. Ugh.
That's all right. Catherine, I did an opinion poll for an ad for a new bank that was entirely online. They're hugely popular with millennials and Gen Z. Everything is chat. You could be talking to anyone, anywhere. And that's a problem because like the
That freaks
lockdown
me
and
out.
COVID, hit a lot of the Gen Zers right during their prime social phase in life. And, I wonder if it kind of retarded their social development. They don't handle people maybe as well. They're having to play catch up to learn to be around people and address people and work in public forums. It really did some damage. And I think that's
It did
going
a
to,
lot of
that's a big
damage.
issue. Poll. We did a poll last week on books.
I know it's crazy, right? Sorry.
Do what?
Hi, Melissa. Said, oh my God, I'm the same way. Like, you make all these relationships with people and you're like, you never know when you're going to need something, or just someone's opinion or whatever. It might. Anyway, go ahead.
So we did a poll on books for the book club. The poll pretty much overwhelmingly favored Sherlock Holmes.
I'm still mad at y'all about that.
So we will start off with
Sherlock Holmes.
We will start off with the first Sherlock Holmes. 1887, A Study in Scarlet. The book that introduced and gave us the duo of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. So don't have a firm time on when we will do that, but will probably be maybe 3 weeks down the road, 4 weeks. Give everybody time to acquire the book.
Before we start reading it or before we
have the book club meeting. So that'll give everybody 4 weeks to get the book and read it. How does that sound?
Including us.
Including us. Especially us.
I guess we should read it. I'm just saying. And yes, Melissa, I got a person for everything. Our hot water heater broke. I said, you know what? I got a friend that's a plumber. And the guy looked at Clay and said, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Ellen. Like, I would never drive this far, which like 20 miles down to the island, if she were, and he gave us the greatest deal. I mean, you got to do the thing, people, you make friends. And yes, you got to have someone for everything. Absolutely.
And she does. I'll give her credit for that. Got to run. See you soon. And I'll read the book. Brentwood, appreciate you joining us. Good to see you. Hope you have a good evening. Thank you very much. So does 4 weeks sound good to everybody? Is that
we need to set a date because you know me. If we don't, I'll be like, well, maybe next week.
Well, looks like your team has got the boogie woogie blues. Let me pull up my calendar here.
Oh, the calendar.
We have the calendar. That's 1,
2,
2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
So the week of October the 22nd.
He's giving me it.
Maybe do it on a.
Okay,
I
I'll
don't
be
know.
in town.
Huh?
I'm going back to see my grandfather during his birthday. I was just thinking about when I was going to be gone.
Will you be in town that week?
I will. The week
Okay.
before, I will not.
Okay. So somewhere around the 25th is the middle of the week, October the 25th.
It's
So
Tuesday.
we may.
Well, I guess we can't do it on the same night. It's members
Yeah.
only.
It ought to be a separate night.
Mm-hmm.
So is that, if that sounds good to y'all, I'll post it on the community page. Get a
Why
little
don't
bit
you
more
put
feedback.
a poll up on which night is better? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, can do that. And that'll give everybody a chance to respond. Think about it, check their schedules, give us a little bit better response. Is there a version we have to look out for? I don't think it. I'm not aware if it comes in any version.
Oh,
but
I
it
think I
might.
just figured it out.
So I don't think the versions will be terribly different in terms of the context of the story. Not sure if there are different versions or just different printings, because obviously it's 150 years old. So there may just be different printings of it.
I'm sorry, I just figured out what Chunk was freaking out about. I had a bathing suit strap and a bag up on the shelf, and I had a pink box sitting on its side, and he thought this was pink ball, blue ball. It's not ball. See?
Seriously,
he's,
the
like,
dude
hiding.
is obsessed with ball. Can't explain to you how obsessed he is, but he is.
No, Clay, I don't know how, but this is the first one that he's ever broken into.
Oh, only took him 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, these balls are like, they're called DuraPlay, and the original one he's still not broken through. What? Chunk needs glasses. Chunk needs lots of things. He needs a shrink. He needs some serious therapy.
He is a sweet little booger, but he is just determined about ball. Any possible opportunity for ball, he is always on the lookout for ball or anything similar to ball.
Especially since he was neutered.
Yeah, Tallulah's not as obsessed with it.
You
He's
laughed.
obsessed
You
with
laughed.
food.
You laughed at my joke.
It actually wasn't altogether too horrible.
Oh, thank. Why is there one? What are you doing? He put it in my flip flop. Sorry.
What's in your flip flop?
He set the ball, on the stool, and I've got my feet up, and the flops are down, or the feet are here, and the flop is here, and he set it right in the flop. Does that make any sense?
Well,
yeah. He's like, let's move on.
Yeah. What questions do y'all have?
Ask us anything.
Yeah, this is your time. If you've got some questions or something going on in the universe you want to address, talk about, this is y'all's time. If not, Ellen may have a few questions she can throw out, as we have been wont to do on Tuesday night Q&A.
Come on, y'all got to have a question about something besides Chunk's eyesight.
Give them a minute.
Talia's excited. She's never going to catch the ball. Have fun.
Do you have some questions?
Ellen? Yeah, always. They are probably crappy questions, but I have questions.
Crappy is in the eyes of the listener.
Oh, that's an interesting one to bring up right now.
All right. And remember, y'all also have to answer the question.
And we don't have these like scanned. So 1 for yes, 2 for no. We'll give you a few minutes. All 6 of you. The World Economic Forum is promoting 15-minute cities to control us. I
If
dropped mine.
anybody,
Hang on.
if anybody has watched our videos on the Great Reset, I think I think my answer is probably pretty well known.
Anyone? Anyone? As I try to make my way back up here. Again, it is the World Economic Forum, the WEF. That's not the WWF or the WWW, whatever. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation or junk. Is promoting 15-minute cities to control us. Catherine? There is no wrong answer. We ready?
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
Absolutely.
obvious for us.
Yeah.
We have talked about this, a few times with the Great Reset conversations. I was looking at the video, 8 predictions for 2038. Remember, it was cut in 2017. And I think if most people watched that in 2017, they'd have been like, this is insane. Now
Yet,
you watch it and you like,
here we are.
they're actually working on this. This is actually happening, or a good part of it. It's a fascinating idea, fascinating concept.
I don't think I've done this one yet. I think I turned the ones around that I had. Okay. Aliens helped build the pyramids. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Anyone?
Y'all got to get a little bit quicker with those responses there.
All right, y'all are slow.
Mine actually would be
Is no. I know. You're not sure.
I don't know.
Even though there are hieroglyphs of aliens in the pyramids.
Well, are there hieroglyphs of aliens, or are there some symbol that
Spaceships.
we don't understand yet?
No, it's literally a spaceship.
Yeah,
Everybody said no. Aw. Y'all love you some Clay, don't you? I'm just saying. I tried to show that one. Clay, let's have it. Okay, we've discussed this before. I'll take care of the chat so that we don't double click.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Or a circular boat. Huh?
Could be.
What?
A round boat instead of a spaceship.
No, it was very, very, very much. I had like a little dome in the bottom and the thing. Like, that would be a weird boat.
Had a little like laser light show and all these
Hang on. All right, you're gonna make me look it up.
Yeah, I wonder how they got, if you look at the particular alignment of the pyramids with, and I forget the significance of them, but the alignment of them is really very, very precise. And, I wonder when were they built? 3,000 years ago? I don't know. 4,000 years ago?
I don't know.
How they were able to measure things that precise, how they were able to cut the stones to where they fit that precise, move them over that kind of distance. There's a lot of questions, but I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to, I can't. All right, I'm going to, and this might be like a total bullshit one. I don't know. But I'm going to send it to Clay and he can put it up. If I can remember your email address.
Yes, the Egyptians were astronomy mad. That's a good way to put it. But where did they get the ability to so precisely measure the movement and the alignment? It's just,
Exactly.
that's the technology. I mean, we
Okay,
couldn't
that's
do it
a
100
teapot.
years ago, 200 years ago.
We can't recreate the pyramids now. Oh, there we go. Okay, there's another. This one is actually like legit, I think.
All right, Ellen's spaceship.
See? Um, all right, here's actually a good one. You're so hard to find. Go away. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to you. I'm the worst.
Yeah, I'm sitting
Um,
here looking at this spaceship going, you know, is that a spaceship or
all right, I just sent another one. Looks like a darn spaceship.
all right, still waiting on it.
I sent it. It's been sent, I think. Yep. It has no subject, but yeah. Looks like a helicopter and a spaceship. You can measure the stars all the time and you learn things, but do you learn how to move blocks that large from so far away in that position perfectly? That we can't do it today.
So, is that a Apache helicopter?
I don't know what it is.
Is that a
Spaceship.
yacht?
Spaceship.
Is that a plane? Don't know.
Just saying. Stop it. Okay.
I mean, and look at the symbol below the two circles.
What is
I
it?
mean, that's almost completely nonsensical. If were drawing and just making up symbols, eventually you get some shapes that are it's like Nostradamus's predictions.
Nostradamus.
Only Nostradamus. They're only they only make sense after the fact if you stretch the interpretation.
Hmm.
Otherwise, they kind of like the ramblings of a madman. I don't know. The top one does look kind of like a yacht
It
or a
does. A
cruise
cruise
ship.
ship.
Yeah, and the one on the left does, at least the top outline does look a little bit like an Apache helicopter. But
Mhm.
aliens wouldn't have had Apaches.
But they were way smarter than us. Still are, I'm sure.
Well, if they were way smarter than us, why couldn't they come up with a better language? Alphabet. I know. That is jingoistic. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I see the shapes. There's, you could make an argument. Well, that does kind of look like, a plane or a helicopter or a boat, but just not quite. I don't know. All right, next question.
All right.
Let's move along.
Weather. Okay. Weather can be weaponized.
Weather can be weaponized. What do y'all think? Can weather be weaponized? Can we control it to the point where we can use it to military advantage? Get this in. Catherine, so many hieroglyphs are flattened perspective. I don't know what they are, but why would the airplane or boat be 3D? Don't
Don't
know.
know.
I don't have good answers.
But if you look into it, they uncovered like the ancient hieroglyphs. Um, it was probably, I don't know, 7 years ago that showed a lot of the spaceships. Anyway, since we can't recreate it, I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I don't know. Any spaceship that we have like photos of, the one depicted in the hieroglyph, most anything that looks like that would be a fake. Would have been shown to be a fake. That's not an actual.
Oh, have you seen them? Because I haven't.
Oh yeah, I've been in
Well, you've seen
Roswell.
spaceships, so you
I've been in
know
Roswell.
you know what they look like.
I know what they look like.
All right, cool.
I've seen aliens.
All right, so weather can be weaponized.
All right, we have 2 yeses.
Yep, I agree with that.
But I would limit that to if there are clouds, we can get them to rain. I don't think we can form clouds. I don't think we can control electricity. I don't think we can control hurricanes, tornadoes. So to me, that is a very narrow limit, very narrow yes. If you've got heavy equipment, armor or whatever, muddy fields, might can slow down in advance. But
what about the microwaves?
what
I
about
don't mean like actual microwaves, but the microwaves that they would send up into the. Maybe I'm just one of those conspiracy theory people. I don't know.
Well, I was telling, a group the other day that if they had been jumping on conspiracy theorist ass over the last few years, they need to look them up and apologize. Because most of what they were saying is probably come true or close to
In
it.
3 to 6 months, that's the difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So it has been a fascinating time.
I am going to oppose this one just because I have
You can send a hailstorm.
seed.
Yeah,
Seed.
you can seed a hailstorm.
Interesting.
I believe that's true. Thinking about it.
By the way, FYI, Clay is the utmost expert on almost everything. He hates it when
Oh, hate that. Looks like Ellen is having technical difficulties.
he hates it when I say that. This is how we mess with each other. But anyway, all right. Because I don't know what this is, I'm probably going to mispronounce it. Huh. How? I have to look that up, Catherine, because I'm interested now. Nephilium. Do you know what that is?
Type of cell.
Nephililim. Yeah.
Yeah. Skin
What is
cell.
it? No. This one says Nephilium bloodlines still exist.
Nephilium bloodlines.
Nephilium, Nephili. You're going to look it up. See, I'm just going blind here.
Nephilium, perverted offspring of the fallen and mortals in Demon, a bloodline of the Toreador in V20 Dark Ages. Okay, I think this is from a game. I would not say yes. I would say no.
Then you'd be wrong. Because
It wouldn't be the first time.
apparently it is. It is.
Yeah, I would
There
say
is
no to
so
that.
much evil out there. I don't know. It's tough. It's
I
tough.
believe in good and evil, but I'm not sure I believe in everybody's particular interpretation of good and evil.
Well, it's not saying everyone is. It's just saying that there are bloodlines that still exist.
Yeah, some people believe that what's the old saying? The sins of the fathers will be visited upon the children.
Yes.
And they believe that particular sins of an individual are actually passed through genetically or in the blood to offspring.
A bloodline curse or a
Yeah,
bloodline issue.
and I can't say that I believe that. I don't think that's true. I do think, people are born imperfect with a fallen nature, as it's oftentimes described, that we have to strive to we have to adapt, change, learn, grow in grace, knowledge, whatever. But I don't think because I commit a particular sin that my daughter will be punished for that. I do think children live what they learn what they live.
You can only
So
do what you know how to do.
you oftentimes see pedophilia passed down to children who are abused. They become pedophiles. So, but that is not what we're talking about passing through the blood or genetically. That's children being taught a certain behavior.
Right.
Or being around a certain behavior and coming to believe that's normal. So I don't, no, just no. All right, next question.
I'm not sure. I think that I think there is much more to the spiritual realm than what any of us can understand.
I would agree with that. I just don't think that a just God would punish somebody for what somebody else did.
It's not that he's punishing them, it's they were cursed by their own family.
That is a punishment.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Moving on. Rockefeller created modern medicine to eradicate natural remedies and make everyone dependent on big pharma. Now, I'm going to admit I have no insight into the history of Rockefeller and what he did with medicine. So I'm going to go with this one.
Yeah, I'll say no, kind of leaning toward no, but kind of uncertain. I don't think Rockefeller was that powerful. I don't think he was that prescient.
Do you think that's what it's led to?
I do think that's oftentimes what we experience now. But I would not attribute that necessarily to one man. I would attribute that to a system that is very opaque, that discourages transparency, encourages complexity and confusion, and rewards those people who best contribute to the complexity and confusion in the system. I think we reward that. We kill competition. We kill disclosure. We kill directness.
Hang on. We're talking about medication, right?
Right. The whole medical
Okay.
industry.
Right. It's funny because people with excuse me, socialized medicine like Canada, like Switzerland, like a lot of the countries in the world, right? their innovation is not what the US is, correct?
No, they don't
What
have
but
the
does the
innovation or
in
research that we do. In fact, most of them, if they want to conduct research, they'll come here to American universities or schools to do it.
but is the innovation that we're creating good or more harmful?
I think innovation in an open system is always good. But, I think increasingly you can argue that our system is more and more closed. It's less and less transparent, it's more and more complex, more and more bureaucratic. The doctor-patient relationship now has all sorts of middlemen jumping in. Doctors really aren't free to treat the patient in the method and manner in which they want. So, I think that's an issue.
Well, I mean, there's the US is not a totally free system, not a totally open system at all. Because like you said, there are protocols. There are, I mean, even with COVID, we can't take ivermectin, we can't do hydroxychloroquine, we can't the things that were known to help COVID. I asked my doctor and he was just like, I'll get my license yanked if I prescribe any of those for you, even before either of us had COVID. Um, and now, I told my grandfather because some of the side effects of the original vaccine are memory loss. And he is starting to have some, and he's had his third booster. And I said, Pop, I said, please do not get another shot. Just do me a favor. If you love me, don't do it because I want to take care of you. I want to make sure that you live as long as you can and be as happy and comfortable as you can. Um, and if you're all about the vaccine, go for it. The jab, take all you want. Um, it's not something I have done, and I won't because it hasn't been in circulation long enough for anyone to know exactly what all the side effects are. Um,
Yeah, Catherine asked a good question. What in the world did Rockefeller do to create Big Pharma?
Clay, I was giving you time to look that up.
Thank you. I assume it's because a lot of people attribute the creation of modern medicine to Rockefeller. He and Carnegie did some report, some study of the way medicine and drugs were utilized in the country. And that led to, kind of comparison of different techniques, different drugs, different applications, which probably mostly back then was mostly herbal and natural meds. There weren't pharmaceutical manufacturers in the 1800s, early 1900s, or they were just starting. So that's kind of where modern medicine and comparing practices began and
I don't,
standardizing of treatments began.
I don't, I don't, I mean, that's like saying that because I make a tincture that I am regulating or creating pharmacology. That's no. I don't know.
It's a little vague. It's a stretch in my opinion,
Yeah.
but I think that's what they're referring to. I am not sure. I don't Carnegie controlled 90%, 80-90% of the country's oil production at the time.
He's
So, very
about to
powerful in
jump.
terms of oil, but I don't remember him, buying or investing in pharma. I don't know that he did or didn't. That doesn't ring a bell to me.
Do y'all see this?
What?
He's about to jump. There's nothing up there, Chunk.
Let him jump. We need video of that. Oftentimes he jumps and falls short. It's
Or he
really
just
kind of pure epicness.
or he throws his head into the side and just falls right back down, which is really sad, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Kind of
he's
like
a
when I
tough little
fall
burger.
and Chunk laughs and Clay laughs.
He's epic. All right, one last
He-
question. We're running out of
I'm
time.
trying to find a good one. Give me a moment.
And listen, if y'all have some questions to throw out, y'all have some weird or funny questions on any topic, just for entertainment value, throw them out.
Oh, here's a good one. Yes, please go ahead.
Or
That's a
have
lot of
some ready
pressure.
for next week.
All right. Where's my John? Where's my chip? What'd you do? Yeah. Charles Manson was part of CIA mind control experiments. I know what you're gonna say. I don't know. I would be more like this. Could be. Don't know.
I mean, the Army CIA / did give recruits LSD in the 50s to test the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Manson's psychoses, paranoia, whatever he was diagnosed with, was due to LSD or
He
some
kind of
drug.
was. He kind of. Catherine, I'm with you there, honey. I think he may be kind of may have done that, and I think they still are doing it. But that's just me.
Could be. There so much weird has happened over the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen, a lot of things exposed. Hell, all the intelligence chiefs talking about the Hunter's computer was Russian disinformation. Every one of them knew that it was a lie at the time, and they were still chanting it.
Do you think they're going to let him run next year?
Who? Biden?
Yeah.
Well, so far the DNC is trying to keep Kennedy and everybody else out of it.
But he's not. He's clearly not fit to run.
Well, all I'm saying is, so far it looks like the DNC, the powers that be, are trying to protect him.
From
But some
himself.
of the Democrats are turning on him publicly.
A lot of.
So don't know what's
don't
going to
know.
happen. Catherine, during an early arrest, he was subjected to some of the prison tests.
Mm-hmm.
Prison test of what nature?
The CIA mind control.
Hadn't seen that. No idea.
Oh, Catherine, I'm gonna look all the things up, the movies, everything, and I'm gonna make him watch them. And he's gonna be so mad at me. But it's a I mean, they have started redoing it again. They've said they've shut it down, the whole program. But it's not shut down at all.
How many of y'all read the book Helter Skelter?
Sounds scary. No, thank you.
It was a good book. Fascinating read. Dude was deeply, deeply sick. All right. Well, I think that's our time for tonight. We have enjoyed your company.
And thank you, guys. Oh, she did. Catherine did. Oh, I told you I would handle this. Stop it.
Devil made me do it. CIA made me do it. When I was in prison, I was also subjected to some of their tests.
Do you see how he does this with me? Yeah. He's the But now kind of you're mocking our sub, so you better.
No, I'm not. I was
She read Helter Skelter. Catherine has read almost everything.
Is it going on the next book list? I kind of would, but one, I've read it before. I don't know if that's fair. Two, it's a long.
It was Catherine.
Yeah, she asked, will it be on the next book list?
I saw that, but she said she has read it as well. We are here for the snarkiness. Oh, we're all kinds of snarky, sassy. It's been a long, long time since Melissa read it. I
Yeah, I
have
think I
not read
read it.
it.
I
Y'all
think I
are.
read it in high school, which
Can
has
y'all
been a
come up
long,
with
long
the
time.
freaking book I've already read, please? Any of them?
But
I got Hebrews here. Wait, that's upside down.
that's by Owen.
Yep. You can't see it. There you go. Volume 1, I think.
Yeah, there's
That's 6.
6
Excuse me.
volumes.
No, there's more than 6. That's 7. There's 7.
Okay. I was close. Don't exactly remember it. But put it on the
You?
list. Well, that's
No.
interesting. Okay. Well, next time we do a poll, we'll add it in the list for the following month's read. It actually is a pretty good read. It actually is an interesting book, well written. It was written by one of the prosecutors of the not Marilyn Manson, the Tate murders. So, and there's Chunk waiting for something.
Something. I don't have the spherical object. He's taken it. He still believes truly in his heart that there is something on top of my cabinet over there, and there's nothing there. Maybe
All
it's a
right, I'm going to try
ghost.
this one more time.
What?
Yeah, Chunk is waiting on us. We have enjoyed seeing you tonight. Enjoyed being with you
Sorry.
tonight very much.
You can do a
Melissa, I
Manson
can do a
tour of
Manson tour of
LA.
LA. Maybe we
That'd
could
be awesome.
group trip. But thank y'all for being with us. We're going to
Oh, we
call
can
it
get
a
the
night.
overnight, maybe,
Let everybody go
to come with
take
us
care and
do all
enjoy
that. Sorry.
their evenings. Appreciate you being with us tonight. And
I think he just shut me up.
our time is up. We thank you for yours. Y'all have a
Good
great
night,
night.
guys. Love you guys.